Inside the 16th episode of Outsourcing Live, you'll discover some secret ninja video outsourcing gems that I find out from my special guest. Also, inside the quick tip, I share with you my top 3 productivity tools in my business. Let's get the ball rolling.
Welcome to the Outsourcing Live podcast, where you will learn to build a virtual team to run your business. And now, your host, Tyrone Shum.
Hey everyone, it's Tyrone Shum from Outsourcing Live, and today I've got a special guest on call. I'm really excited about this call because it's a really good friend of mine who, has been really kind and extremely patient with me. And I have to say that he has done exceptionally well. He's known as the video online expert and guru in this particular market, particularly on a domination of YouTube. He's launched many products, which you may have heard of, with good friends and joint ventures as well, called Become a Blogger Premium, rapid video blogging, and also a magic niche site as well too. So let me give you a warm welcome to Gideon Shalwick. Welcome to the call, Gideon.
Hi, Tyrone. Great to be on the call, and thanks for having me. We're really looking forward to it.
Likewise. Well, Gideon, I've given you a little bit of an intro, and I think a lot of people, if they don't know you, I thought I might as well just give a quick, maybe 2 or 3 minutes spiel for you. I'll let you do that spiel, and then we'll probably jump into it to talk a little bit more about outsourcing, because that's really why I've got you on the call today. So I'll pass the mic to you.
All right, sure thing. Okay, just to put things in perspective, in terms of how I got to do online video marketing in particular, it was about 5 years ago. I was in a job situation back in New Zealand, and I kind of got sick of it, and for 3 reasons. A reason was that I wasn't able to do what I was really passionate about. Another reason was that I was building an asset for someone else. So the day I would leave, I wouldn't be able to take that asset with me. And the third reason was that the day I would stop working is also the day that I would stop getting paid. So while there's nothing wrong with having a job, for my situation, I wanted to have a change. So I told my wife, one day I said, look, I've had enough. Let's quit our jobs, immigrate to Australia and start a new business. Luckily, she was keen. We didn't have kids back then. We have a little baby girl now, but back then we didn't. And so we were keen for sports. So within about a month, we ended up in Australia. I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I looked at a bunch of opportunities. I settled on internet marketing and then later video marketing to help me really drive a ton of traffic to my site and on my different sites, and to be able to use that as the main traffic source for what I now have for my online business. So 5 years later, went from working in a sort of a corporate type of job to going through not making much money at all in the beginning years, and then learning and through experience building it up to be able to run a pretty successful business working from home right now. So really loving it. Just to give you a bit of information on some of the results I've had. Become a blogger. You mentioned that was a very successful launch. That's one of my first successful ones that I did with Yaro Starek, and one of my business partners. It was a nice 6-figure launch. That audience is sitting on about 35,000 people now. From that, I went to do Free Magic Live with another business partner of mine, JJ. That business has about 45,000 people following there. The main traffic there is through YouTube, which is just amazing. And that business is getting about 100 to 150 opt-ins a day. And lately, my most recent one is rapid video blogging, where I basically teach people what I've been learning about internet marketing and video blogging in particular, and setting at about 50 opt-ins a day from that. Also mainly using video as the traffic source and building my leads. So it's been a very exciting and thrilling ride, and it's paid off really well for me in the end.
Well, thanks very much for that, Gideon. It's awesome to be able to hear you're doing such a really exceptionally doing exceptionally well. Oh, I'm tongue twisted on that. And it's been a short 5 years, and the time I've known you, I've just seen so much dramatic growth from what you've done. So, and I've learned as well, and I've been part of your course and your programs as well. So I'm a student as well, and also to a good friend of your course and everything like that. But really, the main reason why I wanted to get you on the call today was really to talk a lot about specifically your business, on how you've been able to achieve such growth within the period of time that you had, and also use outsourcing as key component, because obviously you can't do everything all by yourself. And especially with the kind of videos that you're putting online, they are absolute top notch. And before we even started in this conversation, I asked you, how are you doing all that? And you mentioned to me that you've got a video editor. So maybe we could probably delve on how outsourcing's helped you. And I'd be curious on what things that you think have been the key successes of your business because of outsourcing as well.
Okay. Well, Albors. I'm not sure what to call it, Albors.
We're both having a tongue twister today.
Yeah, no, I mean, thanks, Tyrone. It's great to see that, you've enjoyed the information that I've been sharing, but I guess what I just want to return the compliment and saying that, I've learned a lot from you about outsourcing, but also just watching you implement what I've been teaching. I think you're actually really good at implementing what I teach, and you probably do it better than I do, which is awesome. I'm
learning from the best, so that's the reason why I follow all your stuff. So it's great.
And that's the key, really, is implementation. Without implementation and taking action, there's no results. So awesome. But it was about maybe 2.5 years ago that I realized in my business there was, it was going great. We were making at least 6 figures coming into the business, in terms of profit. I started realizing that I was hitting some sort of a ceiling, and I was awfully busy with my business. And what I realized was that there was a huge bottleneck in my business. And because of this bottleneck, it prevented the business from performing and getting more stuff going through the business. And what I realized was that this big bottleneck was me. I was the big bottleneck in the business. And if you've read something like any information from Eli Goldratt, where he talks about the theory of constraints, he talks about the throughput of your business, and which is really just, if you could compare it to, say, a manufacturing line, the throughput of that manufacturing line is how many units are able to go through a manufacturing process, for example. So say you've got a factory line, you've got 3 stages, A, B, and C. If stage A can complete 15 units in a day, stage B can maybe complete 50 units, and stage 3 can only complete 3. The overall throughput of your system, of that manufacturing system, is only 3. It's it's only as fast as your slowest bottleneck.
That's right.
And so the theory goes that what you need to do is look at that bottleneck and do everything you can to remove that bottleneck as fast as possible. Once you've got it removed or relieved, you move on to the next biggest bottleneck, and keep on doing that until the throughput of your system, your business system, just goes totally through the roof. And so you can do that for any business. It doesn't just have to apply to manufacturing. And so when I looked at my business, and I looked at the business as a system, and seeing each part in the business as a different stage that is affecting the throughput of the business, I realized that I was the biggest bottleneck in the system. And so I had to do something about that. And the best option for me was to find someone who could replace what I was doing. That's essentially what it came down to. So I needed some more Gideons, in a way.
Duplications, yes. And
yeah. And there was a lot of extra work that I didn't have to do. Now, the big challenge that I had with that was that I was running a successful business, but it wasn't quite successful enough for me to really invest in local employees. So there was a financial risk for me to be able to do that. Another issue with getting local employees was, just the hassle of having local employees. I mean, the hassle in terms of the not in terms of the people, but in terms of the red tape that comes along with that.
We all know tax, super.
Yes, and if there's it's just complicated, put it that way. Some countries are different, but in Australia it's complicated, and it's a tedious process.
We know. I used to have that same issue. No, never again.
Yeah, and so I mean, the outsourcing trend was already well underway back then, and I think you were leading the way pretty well there, Tyrone. And so
Thank you.
I thought, well, I better do something about this. And that's when I got my first person to help me with outsourcing. And I outsourced. The very first stuff I outsourced was all the technical work. And that freed me up tremendously because I used to do everything myself, which is just crazy now looking back to it. But that already relieved me as the bottleneck in a big way. And it's just sort of grown since then.
That's awesome because I know exactly what you mean. And when I first started as well, it was exactly like that. Did everything myself, and I didn't know that it was possible to hire someone else as well to do that.
Yeah, and I think you've done really well. You're one of my first inspirations to get someone to come and help me. And I think as I said before, you've managed to pull it off really well.
Thank you. I think everybody was all at that same kind of looking for that thing that could help change our business, because we all understand how a business can work and how it generates traffic and revenue, but we were all sort of being in the bottlenecks, as you can say, until a certain point when we realize, okay, there's actually other opportunities to bring other people on board, not necessarily in Australia, but overseas, such as the Philippines.
That's right.
So from there, you've obviously hired numerous people, and now you've got a team surrounding you from the Philippines, I would dare say and assume.
Yes.
But yeah, with this team that's helped you grow your business, after getting the technical side outsourced, what were the next things that you decided to outsource after that?
Well, the next person that I got to join me was sort of a personal assistant, a virtual assistant type of person looking at the admin side of things. So I realized that my tech person, he was great with the technical stuff, but there's some admin things that he was not really qualified to do or necessarily interested in doing. And so I thought that's the next gap in the business, because we got a little baby in the family, and that meant that my wife couldn't help us much with some of the admin stuff. And so naturally that was the next move to get that person on board. And once again, that relieved another bit of a bottleneck there. Would you like me to continue with the people that I hired?
Yeah. I mean, it's all yours.
So that was really good. As soon as I had 2 people, though, I started realizing a new bottleneck forming, and it was quite annoying because I thought I'm all set now. I've got a tech guy, I've got an admin person, and I just have to come up with the creative stuff. What I started realizing was that my job went from being creative and doing creative work to much more of a management role, where I had to interact with the people in my business, my outsourcers. And while it was only 2 people, it took a lot of my time. Especially when there were new tasks or new responsibilities, there was a certain level of education that I needed to provide. And which took my time, and just day-to-day management of the team, even though it was a small team. And so I realized that once again I became the bottleneck in the picture. And so I thought, okay, well, I better do something about this. And so the next person that I hired after that was, I call her my CEO, or my manager, really my manager for the business. And so before, where I was the hub of the business, so if you can imagine a hub and spoke model, and I was right in the middle and everything was going through me, I decided to hire a manager and replace me with the manager. So the manager took on this hub role that I had before. So instead of me interacting with my team and following up on tasks or doing any education, whatever it was, my new manager, she would then take on that role. And that was just incredible. In a way, if I look back, I wish that was the first person that I hired, because that opened up some incredible doors for me, because no longer did I have to worry about the people management side of things, and it freed up my day to focus on what the important things for the business. So that was a really big step forward for me.
That's excellent.
And then the next person, I guess that's where I'm at. The final person that I've hired is a video editor. So the next bottleneck that I found after me was the video editing. So my wife did a little bit, but her time became less and less in the business as our little baby girl started growing up. And so that was another bottleneck because I had to do a bunch of it as well. And so I thought, well, if we get a full-time video editor, that would certainly free me up a lot. And so we found this really great video editor, and he started doing, he's doing all 99% of the video editing now. And as you've said, he just does an excellent job. I'm just so pleased.
He rocks. I mean, some of the videos I've seen online that you've done, I'm like going, how does he do that?
yeah, he's a star. He's a really he's an A player. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's amazing what you've talked about is hiring the right people, because it's really about outsourcing anything that you do, whether it be the work that you're doing like video or managing a team. It's finding those 18 players, isn't it? Absolutely.
That's probably over the last 6 months been a huge focus for me and my manager, where we've in the past we would just kind of find someone as quickly as possible to get the job done for us, and we wouldn't have as much concern of finding the right person. And that's a problem, because if you hire the wrong person, that can actually waste a lot of your time and set you back big time. And so if you compare that to hiring the right person right from the beginning, that can make a huge difference. So a new emphasis in our business, relatively new emphasis in our business, is to basically only hire A players or A plus players. So basically we look for the best and do whatever we can to get those people on board.
It's really great that you talked about that, and I think a lot of people probably want to know as well, and I myself probably want to know as well, is what are the criteria for an A player, and how do you find these kind of people?
Well, I think there's two main things. One is more important than the other one, but if you can get both at the same time, you go from an A player to an A plus player. So for A players, normally what I look at is the first thing I look at is their attitude. What kind of attitude do they bring? Are they on time, for example? I look at the little things. Are they on time? Do they have good manners? Do they get back to me within time? Are they good with communication? What are their English skill, the English speaking and writing skills like? Can they communicate well in English? Because, we're running an English based business, so we can't have people in the business who can't understand English properly. So those are very, very important things. And, in a business, in any business, it's, deadlines are extremely important, and sort of a sense of urgency and getting things done is extremely important. So if you have someone on the team that they don't really care about deadlines or missing deadlines, or they tell you after a deadline that they can't make the deadline, that's a big problem. So I look for those sort of qualities in people. It's very difficult sometimes to just get a feel of the person during an interview stage, and so a couple of things that I do to help me decide on that is I do two things, and I learned this from Eben Pagan. He talks about he has this little phrase: hire slow, fire fast.
Yes.
hire slow, fire fast. And so what we do now is my manager, she basically goes through the, recruitment phase. So she finds, or she goes through all the different sites or different areas where you can find people to do the job. And she basically looks for certain criteria, for, who can do the job. The next stage is she would then interview people. She'd do the first round set of interviews with people, and then she would basically present me with a short list of people that we then interview for the position. So by the time I get to interview someone, they've already gone through at least two filtering processes. Yeah, so one for the recruitment process, and another one for the first interview. So, but that's still not enough. It's still not nearly enough. The next thing we then do is put people on a test. We give them a test project that's representative of the work that they'll be doing, and we see how well they perform. How well can they technically perform that, and how well they communicate with us and work with a team. So that's the first thing. It might take a week for the test project or shorter, depending on the role. Yep. That's still not enough. What we then say, if they pass that test, we pay them for their work. It's not free work. We pay people and we respect people's time. But then the next thing we do is we put them on a month trial. We discussed this during the interview process as well. Say, look, are you willing to go through that? And it's really a benefit for both them and for us. So after a trial period, we both have the option to pull out if we want to. For example, if we don't work together well, we can just say, sorry, it didn't work. If they don't perform well, we have a good reason. We can say, well, it's a trial, you didn't perform well. Yes. Sorry, we can't go ahead. Or if it didn't go well, we can talk about it and say, hey, what happened? Can we fix this? So the trial is extremely important, and it's only after that trial that we really make our final decision on a person. So it's quite a long process to get the final person on board for us on our team. So that's the first thing, the attitude that we look at, and through the trial and test phase, we look at the attitude and how people, the attitude in life and how well they can work in the business. But then, of course, there's the second level, which is the skill or aptitude level that we look at. It's extremely important that people can get the job done, that they're technically qualified to get the job done. You can get the best intentioned person with the best manners, best personality, get on really well with the team, but they just can't get the job done because they're not qualified. Now, I know that a lot of people say that hire for attitude and then you can train the skill, and that's true to a certain degree, but it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time to train someone up, and then they might leave and you lose all that time. So you're much better off trying to get the skill checkbox right as well. So if you can get someone that can hit the ground running, you're just so much further ahead compared to someone that you've got to train up.
Yes, absolutely.
So we look for both those things, and once again during the test and trial phase, that gives us a really good indication of their skill level and how well they can implement our vision for that particular work. So that's really the process we go through. It's really not any more complicated than that.
No, it's definitely not rocket science. I mean, listening to that, it's a very similar process that I go through with hiring as well, virtual assistants or any actually type of person. And it's so crucial. I think a lot of people really skip these steps because a lot of us just want to get something in there in place and just get started straight away because you're either lacking time right now or you just want to get stuff done quickly. And I can totally understand that. And that's I think the takeaway point that I've taken away from that is just to make sure that you do this process properly and give it the time that it requires, because you can't rush these things, unfortunately.
And it's absolutely worth it, Tyron. As you'll know, just look at the kind of work that I can produce now, very quickly, and it doesn't take much of my personal time to be able to create these amazing videos, and the management of the business is getting taken care of, because it's the right person. If it was the wrong person, I would just have more and more headaches. So we've interviewed a ton of people, and just earlier this week, we found someone that on their curriculum vitae or their resume, they looked like an A player. I looked at their previous work, it was outstanding, and I was thinking this would be an excellent person. So for the first interview, she didn't turn up. So we find out later on during the day that she slept in and forgot about the interview, and that she, it was our fault because we didn't confirm it with an email. We didn't send her an email, something like that. So we're going, okay, well, maybe that's our fault. So we'll schedule another one. Next interview comes, and once again, she doesn't turn up. This time the excuse is that the internet was down. So, okay, that's a fair enough excuse if it's true. And so we still went ahead. So third time lucky, we did the interview. And a great interview, obviously great skill, really good with communication. But when it came to we asked her, so, you know, what was, can you just explain a bit more about why you missed the first um, appointment and also the second one? And instead of taking responsibility for not being able to make it, because for me it's a big deal if you miss an appointment for your first interview. That sends a really bad signal, unless so you've got to have an extremely good reason for me. And just the way that she responded to that question, everything else was fine, but if the way she responded to that question made me realize that it's not the kind of person I want to have on board. So I don't care how good she is with her skill. If if she has the wrong attitude, I don't want her on the team, because you can't fix an attitude.
No, you can't.
So
it is so important. And that's the reason why it's so important to really meet people and speak to them on Skype, because just by looking at a resume, as much as their skill set is spot on, as you said, and it's something that you'd be wanting to hire, it really boils back down to a combination of both, because you are essentially going to be working with this person for long term if you are looking to hire them for the business.
Yeah, the opportunity cost is just too great, for getting the wrong person, because Warren Buffett, if I look at him as an example, he talks about opportunity cost. So when he invests in a business, he basically asks himself, what's the opportunity cost here? So in other words, if I invest in this business, that money that I invest in it, what else could I have invested that money in? And what sort of return could I have invested somewhere else? Or even if I just left that money in my existing investments, what sort of return would I have had? So what am I giving up here? What opportunity cost am I having by taking on this, investing in this opportunity? And it's the same for hiring people. So ask yourself the question, before you hire someone, what's the opportunity cost here? If it's the wrong person and you're not doing your homework right, you're actually going to lose 1 or 2 months out of your time, which is a huge opportunity cost, compared to if you just spent a little bit more time to find the right person. It can make a big difference. And, something that I want to say about that is, when you interview someone and they seem to have all the right skills and, you think they can do the job for you, one thing to watch out for is to get all romantic about it and to think this person is going to be the salvation for this role. And because it's very easy to get all a rosy picture about a person and being able to fulfill that role. I think you can't really tell until you've had that first month trial whether that person is the right role. So I think only start getting excited after that month trial.
I was going to say it's like the honeymoon period when you first start dating someone.
It's very similar.
No, that's absolutely true. And you've really, that's a really key component that I definitely agree with you on that, because you don't know until they start working with you. And there may be various reasons why when you start working with them that things don't work out exactly the way they seem. So yeah, it's amazing to see that. Well, Gideon, I'm really curious now. I want to just jump into another part of the aspect that I got you on the call for was now you've talked about the team, you've talked about how you've hired them, how things have changed dramatically over the last few months as well, in the 6 months that you've hired a manager and moved forward with a video editor and the rest of your team. And what I've noticed mainly for me when I've watched a lot of your videos, the quality of your videos in terms of the edits and the presentation has dramatically changed in my opinion. It's just been like not Hollywood, but just at a very, very professional level. And I've been always curious, and I haven't had a chance to actually ask you until now I've got you onto a podcast here, is to ask you, what is it that's changed dramatically, and what have you implemented that's been able to allow you to free up that to outsource to someone like that video editor that you've just recently hired?
Sorry, I'm not sure if I understand the question. Yeah.
What exactly did you do to get this right video editor, and what are some of the systems that you've implemented with him?
Okay, well, with finding the video editor, we basically went through that process that I explained before. With the recruitment process, the interview, the first round interviews, and then the final interview, and then the test, and then the trial. So we went through that exact same process.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can I ask you, what were some of the criteria for specifically the video editor that you're looking for?
Okay, so those two things, attitude and skill, they were huge on it. So for the skill side of it, that's where you look more for the specific things that relate to the role. For me, the important things were, being able to take a video that I've created and to be able to come up with a creative concept all by themselves, without my input. And see what they come up with. So the first test was exactly that. We created I think a 3 or 5 minute long video, and we sent it to the designer, the video editor, and we said, here you go. Here's some really general guidelines. So we didn't say anything specific, and we said, see what you can come up with.
Okay.
And so I didn't say, please have some text here, please use these colors, this and this and this. I gave them free reins. I said, do whatever you think is best, and we'll assess that.
Okay.
Now that, because I wasn't specific for that particular role, I was able to see the creative ability of this guy. Now, when he gave me the first draft, he got it right about 98%.
Oh, wow. That is very close to 100%.
Yes. There was a couple of small changes, like please use a different word here, or just use a slightly different image here, something along those lines. But overall, the video was just superb. And so very quickly, because of that, we could see his ability. We could see how well he could come up with concepts himself and implement them all by himself, and we looked at, how he responded us from those vague, the vague instructions we gave, because we wanted to see, does he have any intelligence to try and figure it out for himself? What sort of questions would he ask us to clarify? All these sort of things. It's really the test. Now, of course, when it comes to later on, when they're the right person and you have more specific work for them, then I think it's more okay to be more specific with your instructions, because you might have more specific ideas about something. But for a video editor, for me, it's important. For me, all I want to do is just give them the video and say, dude, just go and make it look good. You're the expert. I don't want to tell you how to do your job. Yeah. You go and show me what you got. And it worked really well. So it was kind of just happened by accident. As I was doing, I was thinking, maybe I should not give him any specific instructions here and just see what happens. And it worked out really well. And now I do that with everyone, especially for the creative kind of stuff.
Yeah. Did you have to go through a few video editors before you got to this person, or was it just by chance it was the first one?
Well, he was. I don't think chance was involved at all. He was through the process that we used, the interview process and the initial criteria selection process. He made the mark. So my manager is probably a good person to ask as well, and what specific she looks for in that first round. But some basic things we looked at was, do they have a good enough broadband internet connection?
Oh, yes.
Are they on PC or Mac? My editor is on PC, but if someone is on Mac, that's a really good sign for video editing. In the Philippines, it's not going to be very common at all, because Macs are very expensive for them over there.
That's right.
I think it's about a year's worth of salary if you want to buy a Mac, something like that.
I know exactly that thing, and that's, I actually took your suggestion on, because when you suggested before that you sent over a Mac to, I think, your first programmer or virtual assistant, I did the same thing as well for my video editor, because I felt the value in doing that. And since then, he's just, it makes it a lot easier for our systems, because then we can just send over that file instead of sending over multiple different things.
Yes, I mean, if my video guy wasn't as good as he is on PC, I bought him a Mac as well. And we were actually going through the process of getting him a Mac, and then we realized that he can actually do a better job on PC because he's so well trained with a particular program that he was using. And so I figured, let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And maybe later on we can move into Mac. But I mean, Mac in general, I think for your outsourcing team is, if you can afford it, it's not a bad idea, because I mean, one of the key things, even for my admin people, is that it's my higher level managers. It's really good for security, and I know with a very high confidence that they're not going to get viruses and stuff on their computers, which is important for me.
And also productivity, and also reliable. We know, like, we all run Macs. That's the reason why we all switched over. I think once we all switched over, we all sort of just said, yeah, Mac's the way to go.
Absolutely, yeah. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, huge difference. And I know that we don't have those kind of issues that we used to have with the blue screen of death with Windows and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It's been so long ago.
It's been so long ago. So yeah, it's really amazing to be able to hear that. And then from there, now that you're saying that you're able to just send the video file across to him, I think one of the things that, in my personal experience, is the struggles of actually getting a video across to them because of the size, the fact that it's so large. How do you get things across to them quickly and for them to be able to edit and then take over that process to get it up onto the net, because videos are so large?
Sure. Well, I think the easy option is to use the right camera, where the camera records in a good enough file format, but that's still small enough to be able to transfer over the internet. The issue we have in Australia, of course, is not our download speed, it's the upload speeds. And it's just ridiculously slow and expensive if you want to increase the speed. I think I looked at an option once, and it was... I wanted to get the same upload speeds as download speeds for my connection, and they said it's going to cost something like $2,000 a month.
Wow!
And I just thought, it's just not quite worth it.
Well, I think that I mean, you could invest into getting even direct shipping for that price.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can. If you really have big files, you can always just record them on these little SD cards and send them on priority post over to the Philippines, and you'll get the same effect. It's just wait a day or two for it to get there, and you use that money for posting stuff over.
Exactly.
So I mean, so one option is to use the right camera, something like a Kodak ZI8 or the flip cameras to record an MOV or MP4 formats that are nice and small for those cameras, and relatively small and much easier to get over. Another option, if your videos are a bit bigger and you're not too on a too tight time scale, is to record it on little SD cards and send them through on little envelopes. That's the cost of that is pretty cheap. And they can get to anywhere in the world within a few days if you use priority posting or something like that. The next level, and this is what I use most, I guess I'm a bit of a lazy man because I don't like posting stuff in the mail because they get lost and it gets messy, is to do something to the original file that you record in. So I use a Canon 60D. For all my videos now. I know that you're using the Canon T3i, which is like a little brother or sister of the 60D. Yep. They basically do exactly the same thing, except the T3i is just more affordable. So you did a good job there, Tyron.
Thank you.
But the files are humongous,
yes.
For these videos. I'm just trying to remember. I think it's about a gigabyte per minute.
That's right. And I was going to say, for a 5-minute video, and even 10 minutes, it's 10 gigs. Yeah. How does one transfer 10 gigs across?
Yeah. It's crazy. So number one is crazy for upload speeds over here. And download speeds on the other side for the editor, and number two, it's it kills your bandwidth in a country like Australia where you pay through your nose for bandwidth.
That's right.
It's not so good. Maybe in America, there's perhaps unlimited plans over there, so it's not too much of an issue. But similarly in the Philippines, I don't think they have unlimited plans. So if you have really huge files, it's going to totally blow out their internet accounts. Yes. Or then you have to sponsor their internet accounts, which increase the costs unnecessarily. So. The next best thing that I found, which is still not 100%, but it's pretty close, and it does a great job for me, is to reduce the file size before I get it, before I upload it. And with that, there's a bit of a a trick to that as well, and that took me a long time to find out. I wonder I should really charge money for this consultation, Tyrone.
Gideon, we'll cut this one out, and I'll put this one underneath for me, and I'll share this on the podcast.
You can sell it. If you want access, click on the link below.
Yeah. only from Gideon.
It's $1,000. No, really, I mean, it's tongue in cheek, but it's also true. It really took me a lot of trial and error and bumping my head against a bunch of different systems that I tried, and I just kept on breaking. But basically, what I use now is, and this is especially good if you're on a Mac. You may be able to find the software equivalent of this on for PC. I noticed they have a software version, but basically it's a little device that I use. It's called an Elgato Turbo .264 HD USB stick.
That sounds very familiar. I think, isn't that company also make it for TV tuning as well?
They may do. This one is basically, it's a video, it's a video encoder piece of hardware.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what's cool about this is that, sure, you can use software, and if you go to their website, you can buy the software for, I think, $50 or $100 or something like that, and it does apparently the same thing, but it takes much, much longer. Okay, so with this little device, you plug it into your USB port, and instead of clicking and dragging my files from my SD card into my Dropbox or onto my computer, I click and drag it into this little device, the interface for this little device. And what this device then does is, with a click of a button, converts the files using the little processor it has in its own hardware, converts it through the hardware into a much smaller file size. Now, you can get it a tenth or even smaller of this size, but you can play around with the settings. I get it to about a quarter of the size, and I find that's the optimum size for me. So instead of a 4 gigabyte file, you have a 1 gigabyte file, which is a big difference. It's still pretty big, but it's a big difference.
Wow!
So you can reduce your file sizes 4 times using this little device, and it's just beautiful. And what's awesome about it is, because it's hardware, it's basically the same time it would take you to copy and paste the file from your SD card onto your computer. It takes this little device to convert that file into the small file format. And the way you can set it up is that you just set it up so it converts it straight into your Dropbox file that automatically uploads it for your video editor.
Boom.
So the process for me is simple. I stand in front of the camera, record, finish recording, take out the SD card, chuck it into my computer, click and drag those files into the interface for this Elgato Turbo little device, press the button, and that's it.
I like the sound of that.
It's a beautiful and very elegant solution. I'm not sure what you can do on PC. As I say, you might be able to use that same software on PC. If not, a great piece of software is something like XyliSoft, spelled with an X.
Oh, yes.
That you can use for converting your files to a smaller file size. And there may be something for PC users that, a piece of hardware that they can use in a similar way. I haven't researched it, but for Mac, it's just a very beautiful and elegant solution.
It is. How did you come across something like that, by the way?
I saw this years ago, and I didn't realize how cool it is. And then at the start of the year, end of last year, I participated in an affiliate promotion where I did pretty well, and they had a ton of prizes leading up to the promotion, and one of the prizes was this little device. And I thought, oh yeah, that's cool. I just thought, oh well, whatever, send it to me, because it was not really worth getting the cash, and I was interested to see what it was. And this thing arrived in the post, and I thought, oh, let's check it out, let's try it out. And tell you what, Tyrone, I was amazed. I was just amazed at how cool this little thing was, and how much of my time it saved, and how much easier it made my life. It sounds silly saying it's just a little device.
Oh no! Because we've had multiple conversations about this issue, and I remember you asked me the same thing, and I said we probably might see if you can try and speak to the telecom company to try and increase the upload. And we didn't find a solution. Now it's been many months later, and I can definitely say that Gideon, this little solution that you found shouldn't even be revealed in the public. So, it might be taken out of the podcast. But to be honest, I know it's taken you a lot of time, and I've also started researching as well, and I haven't found anything until you've suggested this one, which I'll definitely be checking
Give it a
out.
shot. You will love it, and it's got other benefits too. That for example, if you have a camera that records in AVCHD format. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that format,
Yes,
Tara.
I hated that format.
I was going to say, do you hate it as much as I do?
We're on the same mindset of that one. Jeez, I remember my first one was the Canon LEGRIA. That one there was in that same format, and it took me yonks to import it.
Yeah, it takes yonks to import it into your computer, and on top of that, it makes the files
so
huge.
big. Yes,
Build your computer, and I had to learn that the hard way. I went through many different hard drives with my AVCHD camera. Now, there's a lot more I could say about it, but the bottom line is that with this little device, you can get the videos from your AVCHD camera in the same way that I can grab them from the SD card and get them into the right format as quickly as it would take to just copy and paste them over. So none of this conversion crap. It's almost like clicking and dragging it, and it just copies and pastes the files onto your computer, and it's super quick. It is really, really quick. And the reason why it's quick is because it takes advantage of the extra hardware and processor that's on this little device that you plug in. So it doesn't take up the resources of your computer. It doesn't use the processor of your computer. It uses the processor on this little device. So it basically takes an AVCHD file, converts it to an internet or computer-friendly file very quickly in a size that won't break your computer, and it's very quickly to do it as well.
Wow. And does it convert it in the same, does it come as a .mov file or different MP?
Yeah, I can't remember all the formats that you can choose from, but MOV is the main one that I choose.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an elegant solution. Thanks for that, Gideon.
Oh, yes.
So
you have me some sort of a beer, but I don't really drink beers. Maybe
I'll send you a gift up there. I've got your address. So I'll send you something in the post. No, that's awesome, because I think that's the biggest thing that is a biggest challenge. Getting just these big files across to anyone overseas has always been the biggest time consumer, because once they get it, it's really up to them to make the edits, and they can do that anytime. And the solution there. And you mentioned you've been using Dropbox to share the files. Does Dropbox? I'm pretty sure Dropbox has also too a certain upload limit. Is that true to say, or is it just you just leave it up there and let it?
You mean upload speed limit?
Yes, upload speed limit.
Oh, possibly. And that may be the reason why my video editor doesn't upload it back to me. He sends it through YouSendIt. So I just upload it through Dropbox. But perhaps you've got a better solution there, Tyrone. I'm happy to, if you've got a better solution there. I wasn't aware that there's a limit for the upload speeds for Dropbox.
Yeah, I found it just a bit slow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just very... I guess they've got so many people doing exactly the same thing, and that's the reason why people have been using other sources. I mean, I personally use another one called SugarSync. Okay. I think I've shared it before as well out there, and yes. I dedicate that particularly just for videos, because you get larger storage solution, and I find that seems to load it up quicker. But
okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's a good thing to know, Tyrone. I wasn't aware of that, so I'll give that a test and see how that goes. Because I mean, the way that I normally do it is I would, if I do my recording today, I would upload it overnight, and so normally it would take a few hours to upload it.
That's what I found too as well. It takes a long time.
And that's just the limitation we have to deal with at the moment. I mean, I know we've looked at other options too, of remote accessing computers, but that's messy.
Yeah, that's very messy. You'll actually have to thank Joanna for that one. She was the one who recommended this tool. So,
okay, great. So SugarSync.
Yep, SugarSync is a good solution.
Thanks, Joanna.
Yeah. So once that video is up to your video editor, okay, he takes on board. What does he do after he's done the video editing of the videos? What does he do actually afterwards?
Well, my video editor at the moment, that's all he does, just video editing. Okay. So I keep him busy pretty much full time just with my videos. and he doesn't do much else. But what I would like to train him up next for is to, once the videos are ready to rock, to upload them to the right places as well, and to manage that as well. Because there's for the YouTube videos that I do, I still like to do them myself because I like doing the copy while I do it, because that's very critical and crucial for me to get right. And a lot of my personality goes in there. So for those kind of videos, I still like to do them myself. So in terms of the upload process. But for say membership type videos or other kinds of videos, what I'm looking to do is training up my video guy to be able to just do that straight from where he is in the Philippines, and to just manage that process as well. So that'll be next. At the moment, I've just been getting a virtual assistant to do that side of it, for me. So
that's really good stuff, because we've done something very similar, except after we get the videos that he takes on board to do all the uploads, because we found that just to upload it back to us again, as you're probably aware, after getting the video edited, it just takes a long time as well for me to download it and for him to do it. So I just said to him, just upload it directly for me, and then we'll come back and change the copy anyway. That's
cool. You've just given me an idea, Tyrone. I think what I could do, I suppose, is get my video editor to send me much smaller versions of the actual video. So instead of a 1280 by 720 size video, just to send a much smaller one, maybe a tenth of the size, where I can still see what it is, just to review it and to make suggestions. And then when it comes to the final one, I just say, hey, you can go and upload it. It's ready to rock, and just let me know when it's uploaded, so I can add the copy to it.
That's a great idea. That's a cool idea. Oh, collaboration. Great minds think alike.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Gideon, it's been awesome to be able to talk to you about and find out how you've outsourced all your videos, and also talk about how your business has grown dramatically over the last few months and over the last 5 years that you've been running it as well. And there's been a lot of things that I've learned from you as well in terms of videos, and also I guess we collaborated on outsourcing. I just wanted to, before we do wrap up, I usually ask my special guest on the call is, what is the one thing that's currently working for you that you can share with others that people can take action on?
I think if you don't have a team of people helping you out yet, if you're in that situation, the one thing you can do is ask yourself, what is the bottleneck in your business? What is the biggest bottleneck? And ask yourself, what can you do to relieve that bottleneck? And instead of thinking about outsourcing tasks, outsource positions, outsource responsibilities, so that you can get someone to totally take care of an area of responsibility for your business. And that's why I said before, with hiring a video editor, I wanted to find someone that can manage themselves, that they can be responsible, responsible. If you look at the word, it's able to make a response, to be response able. And
makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. When you analyze the word, that's really what it is. It's able to respond. And so you want people to be able to respond on their own. You give them a task, or you give them an area of responsibility, and they go away and make, do a really good job of it. And that will just save you a ton of time. You can hire someone that's technically able, but if they can't manage themselves, that's going to take management overhead. So either you or a manager will need to do that. But if you find someone that can manage themselves, that is tremendous. And get these people to help you to relieve the bottlenecks in your business.
Yeah, that's awesome advice, and I definitely will take more of that on board, because I always learn a lot from you. And from the strategic point of view, this is very, very smart stuff that you've suggested. So thank you so much for that, Gideon.
Thanks, Tyrone.
If people want to get in contact with you and learn more about your courses and anything that you would like to share with them, how can they get in contact with you, Gideon?
Well, there's probably a link below this. Do you want me to actually shout out the link, or do you want to?
I'll put a link down below in the show notes for people. But okay. Yeah, more than happy for you to share.
Excellent. I think so there'll be a link there for Tyrone that people can click on, and that I'll give Tyrone a link, and when you click on it, it'll take you to a page of mine where I'll give you access to a 92-page report showing you how I use video to grow my business and to make money from it. On top of that, I'll also include a 7-part mini course that's been edited by my super duper new video editor and just looks really fantastic. It's about 2 hours worth of training there that you can get for free, plus that 92-page document. So I'll give that link to Tyrone to put in the show notes for you.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Gideon. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the call today. And yeah, thank you so much again. All the best with what you're doing with your video stuff too.
Thanks, Tyrone. It was awesome catching up with you again. Appreciate it.
Thanks. It's time for the Outsourcing Live Quick Tip. All right, I got some really cool productivity tools that I want to share with you. Really my top 3 productivity tools that I use in my business on a daily basis. And I've been looking around for a long time, and I've been obviously using these now for some time as well. And it has just made a huge difference because it really speeds up things and makes my life a lot easier. And I'm sure that by sharing these with you, it'd also help you as well too. So let me just go through them, and they're not in any specific order, but these are the things that I highly recommend to check out and to see if you can use them in your business. Now, the first one is called TextExpander, and this is what we call like a short code type of shorthand cut and paste script, which allows you to be able to just paste things into your emails, into replies and so forth. And it's available for the Mac, which I've been using, and it's like this. If you're typing an email and you're typing repetitively the same thing over and over again, then it's very easy to be able to just use a short key by pressing like a Control A or Control P or whatever it is that you want to paste these things in, and you've got a set response for, say, like an email response. You just use it, and this is what TextExpander allows you to do. It's very powerful, and it saves you a lot of time, and I know that it saved me a lot of time by doing that. So you'll notice that if you're, say, putting a signature down the bottom of an email address, at the bottom of an email, you'll be able to do that very easily with TextExpander. So that's the first one I recommend. The second one is a tool that allows me to schedule quickly with a bunch of people. Say, for example, if I need to arrange different interview times with people, I don't want to be flicking back emails here and there trying to get the right time, because a lot of times we can't decide on an exact time by just back and forth with emails. You can send a time and then the person may come back to you and say, can't make it that time, let's try this time, and you'll be back and forth with emails. Now, to eliminate that situation, to save time, there's a piece of software, online software called Tungle Me. And you can find this software which will allow you to be able to put in your schedule, and then somebody who's booking an interview with you or scheduling a time to do something with you can just hop online, look at your schedule, and then just plonk it in a little gap, so that way they don't have to figure out whether or not you're available at this time, and they can see the scheduled times that you're available. So all you have to do is just put in a few times, and it'll allow the other person who's scheduling a time with you to choose those different time slots. So it's pretty visual and it's very easy to use. And then finally, the last thing that I want to share with you is basically for me, since I live in Australia and I deal with clients and also with having interviews from all over the world, particularly from the US, I always get the time zones mixed up, and I find it very difficult by using a simple tool that I've been using in the past called Time and Date Calendar. And this tool that I've been using in the past was very difficult to use. It basically took me 3 or 4 clicks to be able to get through to find out the exact time zone. So I found this even faster and easier one-click thing called Everytimezone.com. And basically it's just an online page which displays every single time zone that you need, from Sydney all the way to US, Honolulu, every time that you need, and it just one click, it'll show you directly on the screen what the other time zone is. So it's very easy to be able to find that all out. So all these tools that I've been recommending, these top 3 tools, I didn't share with you the links because they are not all very easy to be able to find. But what I can recommend you do is go onto the show notes on my website at outsourcinglive.com/podcast-016, which is podcast 16, and you'll be able to see in the show notes the exact links to them. Some of the links are actually quite long, so basically I'll put them down there below this podcast and you can check it out there, and just try these top 3 productivity tools that I recommend and let me know what you think. So feel free to leave it down on the podcast inside that video or inside the commentary, and let me know if these things have helped you, and I'd love to just get some idea. And if you've got anything else that you want to share, feel free to do so as well. Now, if you like more resources like this one, you can find them inside Mass Outsource Mastermind, along with video tutorials and step-by-step instructions showing exactly how I use them. To To get a 30-day, no-risk trial membership to Mass Outsource Mastermind, simply visit freevideoset.com. Until next time, I wish you success in your quest for outsourcing.